What's up, everybody? Welcome back to John's Corner. I'm your host, Jonathan, and it's gonna be a weird episode. I know yesterday I talked about wanting to spread more love and positivity, and talking about things I like and not things I don't like. But I'm gonna shift gears a little bit from all that positivity. I'm gonna still try to be positive and uplifting, but I want to talk about remakes. Mainly because I keep hearing things about the Buffy remake coming out. Not the show, which is a sequel. And speaking of sequels to legit Buffy canon, you should check out Slayer. Apparently it takes place after season 8. I haven't started it yet because I'm still in the middle of Firefly, Big Damn Heroes. But yeah, check those out. Anywho, I keep hearing about it and that it's really good and all that. I don't know why you need to reboot the show, but whatever. I'll give the first issue a try. Because I think you should always give things a try before you decide you don't like them. Thing that worries me is this whole concept, though, that it's going to cross over with with another Whedon project. And my mind immediately went to Firefly, because Joss Whedon was famous for saying that if Firefly had lasted to season 2, Spike would have showed up playing Spike. James Marsters would have started playing Spike. So I was like, oh, is that the crossover? Or is it going to be Dollhouse? Or what exactly are they crossing over with this new Buffy? And why? If it's Firefly, I'll stop reading the new Firefly comics. Because they're good, but they're not as good as the old Serenity comics. And also, I don't understand this novel does it, the new Boom Firefly comics do it too. Like, why do you keep going back to the status quo of the TV show? We all love the show. Perfect show. But the Dark Horse comics, what's Boom is who I'm talking about as you. They re-released all of them. So it's like, well, aren't you continuing with their continuity then? In which case, shouldn't we be past Serenity? Be doing furthering adventures of them where things could happen, where there are stakes? Because the problem with prequels, and Star Trek keeps doing this too, they keep tying their hands with prequels, and that's why they keep getting all the negative comments that the New Discovery gets is about messing with continuity, which they keep doing because they put themselves too close to the original series. And you don't get those complaints if you take place after everything else. Those complaints come from taking place before everything that's established. Why do that to yourself? Plus, there's no stakes. None. You can't discover something that will change the world forever. You can't alter things beyond belief because we know how things are at a later point. Like, Discovery can't destroy the Federation. Like, the season 1 was good, the war with the Klingons and all that was exciting. But we knew the Federation was going to win because, well, there's all of Star Trek history except for Enterprise proves they won. Like, they still exist. But if you took place after Voyager and you had that same season and the Klingons were winning, you could have had the Klingons win, had the Federation destroyed, and then have the next season about picking up the pieces of the Federation. You could have changed the status quo for the whole universe, and that would have been a legitimate story. You can't do that with a prequel. Don't do prequels, do sequels. Just keep going forward. But I don't know. That's just my complaint. But if Firefly comics cross over with Buffy one, erasing my Buffy history, then I'm out. I'll stop. Boom will have lost me on 2 titles instead of just 1. But let's hope that doesn't happen. But the main reason I keep giving all these reboots chances is because of Battlestar Galactica, the 04 one. I was a huge fan growing up of the original Battlestar Galactica. And when they announced that they were going to reboot it, I was like, oh, this is going to suck. This is going to be the worst thing ever. And then, like, Starbuck, a woman? No, he's a womanizer. He can't be a woman. 10 minutes into that first episode of the miniseries, I forgot all about the original. So I literally have not watched the original one since. And since that miniseries aired on SciFi channel. And I've watched the 04 version all the way through like 20 times since then. I love the new Battlestar Galactica. So they did it. So I was like, alright, a good reboot is possible. I've yet to see that redone. Everyone here knows my opinions on the Star Wars reboot, the Disney Wars nonsense. So it's hard. And then like, but I keep trying. The Charmed reboot. I've been watching that, and it has a good cast. Like I love the chemistry between the characters. The oldest sister is a little awkward and doesn't quite fit, but that actually makes perfect sense with the story that they're telling and how she's connected to everybody. So even that I'm cool with. The only issue I really have with that show is that you're halfway through the first season and you've done like 80% of the major plot lines from the original show. If your whole premise was that you wanted to be something new and fresh and not have any connection to that old show, why are you retelling all of their stories? Tell something new. Like that's a little beef I have with that show, because it doesn't give me a lot of confidence in their creativity that, okay, well, you're 80% through their storylines halfway through season 1. When you're 100% done with their storylines, what are you going to do next? Like, you haven't built anything of your own yet. You've just been biting off of them with little small alterations. And some of the alterations are like, alright, I can see that. The other ones I'm like, okay. Their Cole is horrible. He's not called Cole, I forgot what he's called, but I do not like that character. He's not our Cole. But I don't know, like it's trying, but it's rehashing the past too much and not doing anything original, unique. And I'm sorry, the White Lighters, instead of going up in a ball of light, disappearing like Harry Potter characters, is not helping your cause. But I mean, you should check it out. Like, it's an alright show. I'm not trying to bash it. I'm just it's not doing what it promised. It's not delivering on the promise that it gave us. But it's only half a season in, so in most shows their first season is its weakest. So maybe they're doing what they think they need to get old Charmed fans to like it, and then maybe season 2 will blow our minds to be something completely unique in what they told us it would be. Maybe we'll see. But that brings us to the other shows. And all these shows I loved as kids, like Charmed, Buffy, Battlestar Galactica, and Roswell. Which brings us to Roswell, New Mexico. Alright, the premise is genius. Now, well, part of the premise is genius. Part of it. Well, let's break this in two. Now, the premise of Roswell from the old young adult novels and the original series, which kept the same premise, was essentially take the aliens out, take everything else out. It's about your first love. That overwhelming love that changes your life. And that is what Roswell was about. And I get that and now watching the first episode, they're trying to keep that a little bit, but that really is a high school thing. Coming back, like, unfortunately, I'm about to be 30. The characters in the show are my age. I'm that love is not, like, if I meet somebody now, I'm not gonna feel that. I might be in love. I might feel strong love feelings, but it's not that overwhelming of my whole life is on hold that you feel when you're a teenager. That's a teenager thing. And I get that, this is they're each other's first love back in high school, and they're reconnecting after all this time. And it's like, alright, there's a story to tell there, but it's not the same. It's not gonna be fundamentally that same love story. It just can't. That's very much a high school story. So that part of the premise, I'm like, the 10 years later thing, I'm not too excited about. But the other concept, the using the aliens, Max and the other aliens, and their plight as a fill-in for, what undocumented illegals, whatever you want to call them, are experiencing, is genius. That right there is pure genius. That is what science fiction stories are supposed to do. There's science fiction more than any other genre, even dramas, are supposed to, because dramas, the thing with dramas, because dramas do it perfectly too, but the problem with dramas is that when you're watching it, you know what it's about. It tells you to your face, and usually uses real world history examples to do so. So you can convey messages, but you can't touch heart and minds as well as you can with sci-fi. Sci-fi does it best. Fantasy probably comes close, but sci-fi hands down does it best. Because, I mean, take Battlestar Galactica. You can reflect, and I mean, Buffy is a perfect example that did it with fantasy. You can reflect the real world back at people and do it in a way where they don't feel like they're being lectured or preached to, and really affect the hearts and minds of the people watching it. I mean, the original Star Trek, all the Star Trek, Twilight Zones, these shows, they do that. They reflect the world back at you. And using the aliens in their plight, I mean, XMen has been a plight for just that awkwardness you feel as teenagers, for diversity and racism and dealing with all of that. And now in more modern times, with the gay community, it's very much like it could fill in for all those different stories and tell them in a way where you could watch it and read it and without even thinking about all the people that it's representing, start to feel sympathy for them. Like that is what you're supposed to do. X-Men does it well. And Roswell, New Mexico, that was their goal. That is a brilliant goal. That is a brilliant premise and concept to rebuild the show. The problem is, and I don't know if it was, I want to say the problem was the writing, but I don't know if it was the writer. I don't know what the notes were like that the studio gave. And because a lot of the things they did in the episode were smart choices. But the problem is, you watch the pilot, that concept is just ham-fisted into the episode so hard that even they lose all subtlety. The thing that, like I just said, that sci-fi does better than drama is that it lectures you, it speaks to you without making it obvious. It helps you come to those conclusions yourself. And then when you can come to those conclusions for fictional characters, you can start to see those same conclusions with real life. That's why storytelling is so important. It's what art is fundamental to shifting society and changing the world. But in order for that to work, it has to be subtle. It has to be something that the people watching see for themselves, and then they make the connections. Like, oh, that must be what it feels like. Or, oh, like it lets them empathize with the real world people who are going through the same thing. But the second people know they're being lectured, the second people see that you're trying to teach them something, they shut off. And Roswell, New Mexico wasn't subtle about what they were teaching. They were so ham-fisted. There were so many things that said, this is our message. And to the point where I'm on their side, and even I was like, alright, we get it. That's your message. Like, take a step down. But if they had done those same things, all the same plot points they got, and they did it over 2 or 3 episodes, I think it would have been a lot better. So I don't know if it's just, to me, that might not have been the writer, that might have been the studios forcing so much into the pilot. And then also it doesn't help that, now you watch the original, I haven't read the young adult novels, but you watch the original show. It is Liz's show. The show works on Liz. It's her show, her experiences. You know? After her, very close after her, are the 3 aliens. Not counting Tess, but Max, Isabella, Michael. Then it's the other supporting characters like Maria, Alex, the Valentes, all them. So in this new show, Liz, let me just say off the bat, Liz, amazing. I'm not saying any of them are as good or better than the original cast, but this Liz, amazing. They could not have cast a better Liz. Maria, really, I mean, she wasn't on for a lot, but I fell in love within like 3 seconds of her talking. Great actress. I'm biased for Kyle because I just binge watched all of Vampire Diaries. I liked him. Alright. Alex wasn't on for much, but I didn't really feel anything for him. He didn't really wow me. But then to be fair, neither did Kyle. Kyle, my whole like, oh, I like him, is completely predicated on I like the actor. But those are all supporting characters anyways. The important thing after Liz is the aliens. We'll start with Max. Max, I think he's a good actor. I like him. But I feel like he's trying too hard to be stoic, and that's not really his natural thing. Because it comes off like he's trying too hard to be stoic. But there's that chemistry there. He has a charisma to him that makes you like him. So hopefully the stoic thing kind of fades a little bit, or he makes it a little more natural. Because I think he could be really good. He's not really the part that is worrying me about the show. It's Isabel and Michael. I felt no connection, no sympathy. I don't like them. And I love Michael and Isabel from the old shows. From the old show. Like, they're two of my favorite characters, and now I'm like, I don't even like these actors. And that worries me. If the aliens don't gel, if the aliens don't fit, it is not going to work. That is something that they need to fix and rectify immediately. If they're doing anything like the old show, they're going to be focusing very heavily on Max and Liz. And if so, it might work. And I've only seen the first episode, so I'm really hoping that was very much heavily influenced by the studios, and that it's not so ham-fisted in the future, because it's a great premise, and it's a great parallel. And I think you could do a lot with that. You just have to be a little more subtle. Let the audience do a little bit more work. Joss Whedon always says that you don't speak down to your audience. And very much so, that's what Roswell, New Mexico felt like, that it was speaking down to its audience. Trust that your audience is intelligent enough to see the connection that you're putting and make those thoughts themselves. I don't know. I just feel like if you're going to make a remake, if you're going to redo something that's already been done, do it right. And there's a fine balance between respecting the original and telling your own story. Battlestar Galactica. We'll keep going back to that because it's the perfect remake. It had the same it took the premise from the original Battlestar Galactica and a lot of the character names, but it was very much its own thing. Those two shows, the original Battlestar Galactica and the new one, completely separate things. With the same premise and same characters, but completely different. The world's different. Everything's different. And Roswell, New Mexico kind of feels like it's trying to go that route. I just feel like the casting and the writing wasn't inspiring enough to make you, if not outright forget, at least not compare it to the original. Because it doesn't hold up to the original. And that is and you can't say, well, I'm on my own thing, you need to let me be on my own thing. You can't say that. Because if you're remaking something, if you're taking the name from something else, then you're doing that for the sole purpose of getting the attention and the leg up that comes from being a known property. Part of that trade, part of that boost that you get right out the bat is people comparing you to the original. You're asking for that criticism. If you don't want to be compared to the original, then make something new. Don't make a remake. Because the second you remake something, you are entering the conversation of the original, whether you want to or not. And you can't claim to be your own thing because you didn't create it. You're remaking it. I don't know. I have hopes that Charmed and Roswell both, as it progresses, will get better and find their own voice and actually be something worth watching. And it's a burden that they put out on themselves. They could have done another show about witches or another show about aliens surviving the Roswell crash. Like, there's nothing that forced them to do those stories. It's something they chose to retell those stories. So they don't get a cry foul when people compare them to the original. And they really need to step up their game if they want to stand out from the original. And I said, I'm very apprehensive about this Buffy comic. I'll buy the first one, and if it doesn't wow me, I'm out. I'm really worried that they better not mess with my Firefly universe. Because the Boom Comics have so far done a fine job of not stepping on the toes of the Dark Horse stuff. But also, don't stop retelling stories. Stop telling stories set in the era of the TV show. Go past that. Tell stories after the end of the Dark Horse stuff. Please, for the love of St. P, just do it. This has been my little remake rant. I'm Jonathan. Give us legends.